I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about Big Brother 23, even though it's a day later than usual, but shh.
Woo! It's been a thing, guys. Sorry about all of that. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon at the link on the screen or in the description.
Yes.
We'd love it if you did.
We have a fun Discord over there. Come join us. Yes, guys, sorry about no stream yesterday, but luckily David is available and we can do a makeup stream today.
I know. Sarah texted me today. She was like, I know we don't usually do Tuesdays, but if you want to swing through, I was like, I can do it. Let's do it. So I'm excited to be here.
So since David's here, let's talk about Sunday's episode. Let's talk about the spoilers, the live feeds, all of that good stuff. Hi, guys. I miss y'all too. Thank you.
All right. So Sunday's episode is coming off of Christian's bizarre HOH win, where we didn't really fully understand what was happening because that comp was weird and the camera coverage was poor.
Yeah. Did you notice in this episode, they like a couple times were like, and look, Christian won the HOH.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, show us that footage now.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
And then there was someone in the DR who was like, oh, it was Xavier. I don't know if you could see it from my vantage. And I was like, no, we couldn't see it at all. Thank you. Show me again. Okay, there it is.
Great.
Got it.
Replay. Yeah. But Brittany, I was like surprised. She was in that DR celebrating her safety. I was like, girl, not so fast. Like, you're still on people's radar. You're not like, okay, you have one more week of safety potentially.
No, she's safe. She's excited. She's celebrating.
She was. Yes.
Also, the Kings are celebrating.
They are.
Look at them riding high. All four safe.
I know. I mean, the house didn't want it. They were going to target the Kings because the Kings is the only team left intact. But Christian pulled it out because Christian is incapable of losing comps. So he won this. And I thought it was interesting that we get this bite from Alyssa where she's like, you know, Christian wins the comps and I've got the social game. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is your take.
That's her take. It's a duo HOH for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, but because we on Thursday, last time we talked, we're like, why did Christian win? They didn't want him to win HOH, but he confirmed on the feeds, he didn't know the rules. He didn't know last person putting puzzle pieces together meant he was HOH. So here we are.
Well,
anyway.
Christian is not necessarily making it into Mensa anytime soon, but that's fine. He wins a comp, and that is worth a lot in Big Brother. So,
sure is.
Yes, it's very much a dual HOH between the two of them, but it's also like, I mean, we'll get to it, but it's a bigger HOH than that because Christian doesn't want to make any decisions. He just wants to be told what to do. But before we get to like,
well, luckily he has a girlfriend who will tell him what to do.
And he's got a whole alliance really who will push him in whatever direction they want to. But of course, like the Jokers are frustrated. You know, Derek F is like really upset because the Jokers are just kind of like always worried that they're going to end up on the block. Oz is like trying to calm him down, but they're like frustrated. Derek X is not happy because he's really worried for his teammates, Hannah and Whitney. He's really the only ace who's like super well positioned with the Royal Flush, particularly.
Right.
So he's worried that, you know, the aces are going to be targets. People are just nervous here.
And he knew that Whitney was going to be targeted. He did some really good work last week on getting people like Tiffany and Claire to sort of see the value in Whitney. Like, keep her, let's utilize her. She could take the shot of Christian and Alyssa. But guess what? Christian won. So you don't get those opportunities anymore.
This was kind of her only chance, whether she knew it or not, to position herself better and like be an asset to some of these people, but she missed it. Hannah, meanwhile, doesn't care about Christian, doesn't care to get to know him, doesn't know anything about him. I'm really entertained by Hannah's like DRs and just her general presence in the house and how she interacts with people and how she looks at them as valuable or not. But she's very much like, I really don't want to get to know Christian and I don't know that much, but I am worried. Like she's still kind of aware game wise that he might use her as a pawn. Like she's worried about that possibility.
She's been given a heads up about that possibility is what that means. But I thought that was a weird statement because she's been very friendly with Christian. Like she hangs out with Christian. She was one of the first people to be like, Christian and Alyssa, hey guys, this cuddling you're doing is putting a target on your back.
Yeah.
Like, she is friendly with them.
Huh.
But it's just, is she best friends? No.
Surface.
Yeah.
Right. You know, yeah. Whitney is, of course, nervous because she just doesn't know where Christian's head is at. These are just, you know, the editors giving us these sound bites.
They're setting us up for who the noms are going to be.
Right.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of course. There is a segment that I'm going to not talk about Whitney's clothes because thank you. And so we'll just jump to the lovely segment of DX and the hammock.
Yes. Well, I do, before we get to that, I do want to talk about this big meeting that we had with Kings and, you know, everybody's up there talking to Christian and he's kind of like, his eyes are glazing over a little bit. He doesn't know what to do because people have different opinions. And he's like, if you all could just align and tell me what I need to do, that would really help me out. Cause like, I don't want to have to pick a side here. But I think mostly the issue, at least from what we see, is Sarah Beth and Tiffany have differing opinions here. Sarah Beth, it really wants to go after Hannah. And Tiffany's like, well, you know what? Like, Hannah's in the cookout. So really Brittany is more of a threat. And Christian is just like, oh boy, yikes.
Yeah, this conversation did get a little, I want to say heated, but not heated. Like, people were very passionate about who they wanted to talk about, right? Sarah Beth's like, Hannah!
Yeah, and Alyssa, too, is like, Hannah, she can't be manipulated. You know, they're making some good points, but...
Yeah, I want to just make that clear, because there's a lot of... hate online about Sarah Beth and Alyssa going after Hannah, and it is not anything negative. It's not anything personal. Yes, they're going after her, but it's all game stuff, and it's all like, she's smart.
She's smart.
She's coming after me. I can't manipulate her. Like, these are all true statements about Hannah.
It's like very different from like, we actively hate Brent and want to get him out. Like, it's very much like Hannah's a huge threat. Like, we don't know if we can work with her or sway her to like work with us. You know, like that's the issue. And they can't because honestly, Hannah's in with Tiffany and some other people. So you don't got her. But I just want to, like, it's okay to, you know, not like the people who are coming for your faves. Yeah. But it's not any sort of personal attack or anything like that. Sure. So I just feel the need to say that. Yeah. Yes. But then we do get this lovely segment, Derek X talking about like part of the reason that he came on Big Brother was to show a different side to, you know, people in the Asian community. It's not all about these stereotypes necessarily. And in so much that he even struggles with his own parents who are very into the Chinese values and Eastern philosophies and he was raised with those Western views and different. And so it's a struggle inside his own family. But look, I don't know what Derek X is. Like, I don't know what his values, what he's really wanting to show us, but he is so funny. Yeah. And he's so adorable and he's smart. He makes great comments. Yep. So whatever it is, I'm just glad he was cast. Me too. Yeah. Because he's great to watch. Yeah. And he's like a joy of a recruit because he's such a quick study with the game. Like, he's actually getting into it, figuring it out. Like, you know, he's not just there for like the following and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's playing. He's such a great addition to this cast. I'm enjoying him a lot. And it turns out that he's actually a Survivor fan. We didn't realize that ahead of time, but it came up in a conversation. Interesting. With Claire. Because also Claire's a Survivor fan. Yeah, so. Right. Yay! Amazing. Yes. Then we get our wild card draw, which is not much of a draw because Claire and Whitney are playing by default, as we discussed in our last video together. And Azah has been selected to play for the Jokers. So those three ladies are the wild card players. Yeah. And they go into this comp, which is, you know, a martini themed balance table competition, which is nothing new, but the like trappings around it. Yeah, it's a ball along a ramp. I love olives and I love martinis. Hello. So what? Yeah. Hey, this edit with Azah killed me. Oh my God. Every time they cut back, the ball still was in the same place. It seemed to never move. And it was like, it just went from there to off the table and then back, right? Like they never showed us a path of it exiting the table.
No.
We just saw her staring at it there and then she would replace it. Somehow it made it off the table and she put it right back to where she started.
So good. And her face is right here. I was dying. That was so funny. I was like, can I get a shot of it? Like it's made it a little bit. No.
Yeah.
It's always still right.
It's just always there.
Not moving.
Yeah.
But Claire is close over and over again.
Many
She's
times.
getting it down there and it's just like right at the end.
I mean, Whitney, meanwhile, is the polar opposite of Ozzy. She is tilting that table and not learning from the mistakes, right? Like every time you see her whip that table to the left and the ball shoots off the platform, it's like a little more gentle.
No, she had no smooth touch whatsoever. She was like, drop the ball. Whoop.
Yeah.
Drop the ball. Whoop. Claire in the middle somehow, literally being in the middle.
Oh my God. And the house guests, you could tell it took a long time.
Yeah.
Because the house guests were getting so invested when the ball would get close, when the olive would get close to the toothpick that it was supposed to land on. So Claire, you know, like Sarah said, was close many times. She was the only one who was ever really close at all. And she eventually gets it and wins the safety opportunity.
Now, I also have to say in this edit, I enjoyed watching the house guests.
Yeah.
Because they're like on the edge of their seat. They're like, Ozzo, what are you doing?
Yeah, truly.
And then Claire's like so close.
Yeah.
That was fun too.
Yeah, it was fun. They were getting really into it. It was like they were like missing out on the Olympics, but at least they had this like ball challenge on the table.
Okay, so this safety option was very fun.
Yes. She gets to pick safety for her team, which includes Tiffany and Kyland, remember, for 1 week. Or she gets to pick safety for herself until jury.
Hello.
This is an offer you can't really refuse.
No.
You know? So
she does not refuse it.
She does not. I mean, the way they played it up, I was like, if this woman chooses safety for her team, I'm going to be so mad. I mean, so mad. Claire's like too much of a super fan, I think, to do that. She also knows that her team is safe. Like, you know, they're in the royal flush. She's not really nervous. She's kind of like, you guys are going to be fine. I'm taking the safety because we don't even know how many weeks of safety that is at this point. You know, she's got to take it.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple weeks at least.
Yep.
So yeah, she had to take it. And fortunately for her, there's no one in her team that she knew was really in danger.
Yeah.
There would be some opportunities where a teammate knows their teammate is in danger and think, oh shoot, do I need to just like protect my whole team this week? What do I do? But luckily she was able to just say, I'm gonna take it all.
Yeah.
And Kyland and Tiffany totally are okay with that.
Yes, there's no bad blood, nothing here. Like they're looking at her and they're like, we would have done the same, girlfriend. Like it's all good. Enjoy the safety. So she made the right choice. Happy to see her do that. Like I feel like this was kind of the first one where they take the alternate option, you know?
Yeah.
I think for the most part, they've kind of like declined these like risky decisions. And this was the first one where she was like, I'm in. I'm going to take that.
Yeah. She's like, yes, thank you. I will take that.
Yeah.
Jelly Donuts. Yes, she can still vote. She still has the voting rights. She still can win HOH.
Yep.
All is good. You just can't get her out.
Yep. Very good for her. Very good.
Yay. Okay. Now let's get into some nomination talks here.
Yes. Actually, I misspoke earlier when I was talking about Tiffany targeting Whitney.
Right.
This is where Sarah Beth is still targeting Hannah. And this is really going to be part of her storyline, I think, coming up. But we'll get there. But she's like really pushing hard for Hannah as a target. And this is where Tiffany is saying like, no, like, you know.
Yeah. I think they show us. I think they show Claire talking about Whitney as a target. They show Sarah Beth talking about Hannah as a target. Then Tiffany bringing up Brittany. In reality, this was like very heated. This was the heated one. This was like, they were like, because they already knew, they had gotten the heads up from Xavier that Sarah Beth is against Hannah. Like Sarah Beth wants Hannah up.
Yeah.
She has convinced Alyssa. So the queens come into this conversation knowing, let's talk about Whitney as a target.
Yeah.
How about Whitney as a target? Yeah. Sarah Beth counters with Hannah. Everyone shuts Sarah Beth down. This is another thing about Sarah Beth. She's got No one in the house. She
No one.
thinks she has Kyland. She does not.
Just as a friend.
Yeah. She's got no support.
Mhm.
They shut her down. She's like, Hannah's coming for me. And everyone's like, oh, it's okay.
It's all good.
So,
We
but
don't care.
Whitney,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And she's like, do you guys hear me? No.
Right.
And they're like, we don't. And then Tiffany finally interjects with, well, let's screw this. Let's talk about Brittany. How about that? Maybe we can try that angle, which the Kings just really aren't into. Christian is pretty close with Brittany, so he's not going to go that.
And I think it's just a little bit too of like, she's been through enough right now. Like, we're not really targeting her. Can we give her a week off of like whatever? But yeah, Sarah Beth was pushing back pretty hard in this conversation, even though she's getting nowhere, you know, which is kind of a bold move. Like, you got to weigh these things of like, I'm reading the room and nobody seems to be into this. So like, how much do I keep pushing back? And she was pushing back quite a bit, trying to talk people into the Hannah target. Right.
And I get it. Sarah Beth, I get it. You're worried about this person and you would like, your team is in power. You would like to bring this up. Let's target this person. But if your entire alliance is shutting you down,
zip it.
Read the room, zip it, and please go reevaluate your game.
That's right.
Because this is not working for you.
Right.
And that's, I haven't seen her make that adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
She's just frustrated that no one's listening and not making any change.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, to use a poker analogy, this is when you fold, right? And you say, I'm out this round. I clearly need to go work on my relationships in this alliance.
Yes.
Even, because nobody's listening to me. Nobody is caring that I'm being targeted. So I need to go back to square one, reevaluate. Am I actually close to anybody here? Like, do I need to jump ship? Like, you know.
I really wish she would, because she technically has jackpots with Tiffany and Claire.
Yeah.
They've kind of let that fall. Okay, after this meeting, you go and you sit down with Tiffany and Claire and you get that jackpots back together. Mm-hmm. Do the work. Maybe go straight to Hannah and do some work there. I don't know. Like, you have options. Yeah. She doesn't have a ton of options. Yeah. But do something else. Because this isn't working. No. This isn't working for your game.
After the Royal Flush conversation ends, the Jokers come up. Like, we don't see really one-on-ones with Christian. It's just these team meetings. He really
didn't do that many.
Yeah. So the Jokers come up and they're meeting with Christian and the entire Kings team. And they're like, Whitney is the target. Like, they are really focused on getting Whitney on the block because they're, of course, trying to protect themselves.
Sure. You know? They're like, all of them were like, well, we were coming for you guys, but you won.
Right.
So how about Whitney? We've heard that people want to target Whitney. Is that a thing we should talk about?
Yeah.
Whitney.
Yes. Right.
Whitney. Which actually was funny because it backfires. After they leave, the Kings are like, well, then they can go after Whitney then.
Yeah, right. Like, if she's their target, then they should take that shot.
I was like, this is going as
right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But the one-on-one that they do show us is between, I don't even know if it's like a formal one-on-one, but Hannah is speaking with Christian one-on-one. And, you know, she's good. Hannah's got a good social game and she's just making good points with Christian, right? She's just saying, listen, once the team twist is over, buddy, you're going to need some other allies. You can't hide behind this King's alliance the whole time. And Christian, who can't even fully get his brain around the rules of a competition, is like a little mind blown here. You know, he's like, whoa, this woman is a genius.
Okay, Hannah, like we said earlier, Hannah has already talked to Christian and Alyssa. They do have like a friendly relationship.
Yeah.
So she did the right thing here with him being like, oh, I just wouldn't have done this to you. Like, you know, like, remember when I gave you advice before you were in power? Like, I didn't have to do that. Like, I just liked you. And she really connected with him. And, you know, he's kind of a puppy dog. Not a lot going on here. Yep. And he's like, oh, man, that's right. You've always been nice to me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But she's still going to go up.
She is, yes. So the nomination ceremony happens, and we kind of knew all along it was probably going to be Whitney and Hannah. And it is that. Like, Christian, again, this is another kind of week of like, as the HOH, I'm picking a path of least resistance. And myself as the HOH, I don't necessarily have the strongest opinions about who my targets are, much like Xavier. And so Christian is just kind of going with what he's hearing from the house. And Whitney and Hannah kind of came up the most. And so they are his noms.
Yes. Whitney and Hannah go up on the block. Is what it is. Alyssa's really running the HOH. And that's Sunday's episode.
That is. Time for spoilers.
Spoilers. Hi!
So good to be back
in the same room and it works when we're together.
All right. So should we talk about Veto first, or where do you want to start?
Let's start with Veto, because that was the most important. Is anyone going to win it?
Right.
That's a nominee?
Right. Yeah. So the additional players, DX, Claire, and Azah, are playing alongside Hannah and Whitney and Christian. Guess who wins?
I'm going to guess Christian.
Yes.
Because he doesn't lose a competition.
He does not lose. Yeah. Whitney knew that this was a super important veto, especially after she lost the wild card competition to Claire. She was aware that this was kind of her last chance. Mm-hmm. So she was like kind of upset, after the competition. But when you're going up against Christian, I don't know how you beat him.
Yeah, it's interesting because we think of Derek X as a compies. He's got
Veto
2
king,
veto wins, of course. But even Derek X after this comp was like, I was trying to win this one. And Christian beat me.
Yeah.
Like this is to be noted that Christian is the comp beast here.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's like, it's an interesting situation for DX to be in because he kind of needs Christian as a shield a little bit. But he also is recognizing, like, eventually Christian's got to go. We got to figure out a way to get this guy out and not have him win out until the end of the game because he's, like, smoking everybody at this point. But
not enough people are talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're like, yes, Christian is a comp threat. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of excuse it because he's a puppy dog.
Yeah.
Because Alyssa is running him. They think like, well, if we got Alyssa out, then I could run him.
Sure.
But a whole house of people thinking they can run Christian.
Not good.
That's not, he's only, one person might be able to grab him after Alyssa goes.
Yeah.
But who's that going to be? Like
probably Xavier.
The fact that, I think it'd be Tiffany, honestly.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany's got everybody.
It's true. Yeah.
I don't know. Who we'll see probably because no one seems to be targeting. Christian.
I know.
So today Brittany was like, I think I'd nominate DX and Christian. And I was like, girl, you're the only one.
You're the only one.
And those are solid noms.
Yep.
Hello.
Absolutely.
Do it. Shake up the house. I would like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if she'd really do it. She just said it today though.
Yeah. I mean, that's at least something.
It's
at least somebody said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Whitney, Christian does not use the veto. I don't know if we said that explicitly, but like that happened yesterday. Obviously, he's not going to like take down one of his own nominations. And things are going fine for him. Like the house is targeting Whitney and he kind of doesn't have to worry about anything else this week. Whitney did a little bit of a campaign because she knows that she is the target here.
Derek X let that slip. Whoops.
How do you mean?
He said he started talking about like him and Hannah next week, yada yada, and Whitney was like, "Oh, what?" And she's mad at Derek as if this was all Derek's plan.
No. Yeah, no, it wasn't. But she does try to get Derek X up as a replacement nom. She like gives it a go with Christian, but it's not successful. He doesn't buy it, and she's kind of stopped campaigning at this point. Like she's not talking game with anybody. I kind of feel like, remember last week where we got at the beginning of the Thursday episode, there was like 15 minutes of Brent, I keep saying Brent.
Who is he? What?
Brent
What's
campaigning. Oops. Mm-hmm. And then it was like moving on to next week's targets, which you were commenting like we never got that. I honestly feel like we might have another episode like that because Whitney's not giving us any real campaign.
She's like not even on the feed.
And Hannah doesn't really have to campaign because she feels safe at the cookout and you know.
I think she will though, because I did hear some talk today about like, let's make sure Hannah has a solid campaign just in case Whitney's going to try something, you know. So even though it's similar, like we do have a house target, they're all going to vote Whitney out. Like we will probably get some campaigns tomorrow, but it won't be anything earth shattering.
Yeah.
it's not going to change anything.
Right. So Whitney is likely going this week. And I got to say, I'm getting a little bored with the predictability of the evictions here. Like, I would love to have a little bit of a shakeup. That's why this like Britney comment is so exciting, even though it's like probably just said in passing. But like the idea of DX and Christian on the block is like so juicy. So I just want a little bit of a shakeup. Hopefully the fact that the teams are ending is going to do something.
Right. So the house guests don't know this. They are picking. They're picking up on it. Doesn't feel like teams are going to last long.
Yeah.
But Julie will, I guess, give them the heads up right before they head into this endurance comp on Thursday. We're going to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk about some of the other things that have happened on the feeds. Yeah. Because, like you said, there's nothing else this week. Let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
The future is. Well, like always, Tiffany is running this house.
Of course.
And that conversation with Sarah Beth, not sitting well with Tiffany.
No. So Tiffany actually has like a fun strategy. Like it is, even though it's a little bit boring just to see the expected target go out, like these people are still playing and they are still strategizing. It's just in like a little bit of a different cadence than we're used to because we're like in this week, but we're already on next week, right? And so Tiffany is laying a lot of groundwork to put a target on Sarah Beth, going around to anybody who will listen about Sarah Beth is America's player. She is so dull. How could she possibly have gotten cast for real? Like if she were a real house guest, she would have a personality. So she's telling, who is it? Hannah, Derek X, Xavier, like everybody. She's like, Sarah Beth is America's player.
Yes, they have come up with this whole conspiracy. I mean, they also were like, why was she pushed so hard for Hannah? This must be like America's making her do these things. Mm-hmm. There was also like she's cuddling with Kylan when she has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Is that because she's America's player? Like they have just like, it's a little bit of strategy from Tiffany, but it's also this like crazy paranoia that happens in the house where they're like, oh my gosh, there was a plane that had the letters SBJ on it.
Yeah.
And they construed that to be Sarah Beth Jury. Like it just makes no sense whatsoever, but it helps put a target on her back and make people suspicious. I mean, Tiffany was already concerned about how close Kylan was with Sarah Beth.
Yeah.
And here, you know, she's making that point. Look how close she is with Kylan. Yeah. And now the whole house is like, well, not the whole house, but, you know, enough people are like, look how close they are. They're always together.
Yeah. And it's that, and it's the, you know, the whole cookout is kind of looking at Sarah Beth now because she's gunning so hard for Hannah. So you've got that whole alliance that is super strong still.
Minus Kylan.
Yeah, but that's like that's on like add on. If we get Sarah Beth out, we can pull Kylan back. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's that combination of things that she's close with Kylan, and once Hannah out, both things are bad for the cookout. So they want to, you know, cut her, which is a bummer only because like Britney, Sarah Beth's game is kind of interesting to me because she's just targeting people who, you know,
I feel like Sarah Beth would have been great in just about any other season.
Yeah.
I think she came in and did the right thing. She's smart. She paired up with a duo. She got her final two, Kylan. She had an alliance of her team. And then she made this trio alliance of the jackpots.
Yeah.
Any other season, that sets you up really well. Yeah. And you could say, hey, this person's my target. And then that person goes and you can, you know, excel at this game. But not this season. We've got so many gamers and they're just not connect. Like Sarah Beth doesn't have a connection with everyone in the house. Yeah. And this season, you basically have to be connected to everyone in the house.
Yeah. And Sarah Beth is even worrying like Derek X. I don't even remember like what it was that he was worried about, but it's like, it's not just the cookout. Like you're just on a lot of people's radars.
Yeah.
And so unless this team twist ending really shakes things up, like she is likely going to be in danger next
I think
week
it's
unless she can win HOH.
Barely shake things up because they have the mentality of their teams. So they don't have to work with their teams, but most of them feel comfortable with their teammates. And so it's not going to make a huge difference, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, that's another strike against Sarah Beth is the team thing. She's on the Kings, and the Kings are the only team that's intact. So, somehow she has emerged as the number one target on the Kings over the showmans, Christian and Alyssa. People are talking about her way more than they are talking about Christian as a comp beast and Christian and Alyssa as a duo that needs to be broken up. So it's looking pretty terrible for Sarah Beth.
It is. It's not looking great for Sarah Beth, but it's not the whole house. So some people could win and it not be Sarah Beth this week. But what we have seen for most of this season is what Tiffany wants. She sort of gets those gears a-going, and she's really good at convincing people to go a certain way. So that's Tiffany's target that's been going on. There was an interesting conversation this morning with Azah and Tiffany, where Azah mentioned that she's got a new perspective. When she went to this wild card comp, she left the stage to get in. So she got to walk outside. And she said walking outside made her realize there is an outside. The outside exists and they're in this bubble. And she was like, so Azah outside can be one way, but Azah inside needs to play the game.
Great.
And I was like, yes. Okay.
It's not too late.
Right. It's not too late. If she can sort of start to shift those gears, especially if she could win HOH, get a little power. People have to talk to her. She has to be in conversations. I got excited that she was sort of seeing this new angle. Tiffany was like half listening.
Yeah.
Tiffany is over Azah. So it wasn't a great conversation. I was just happy to hear that. And what Azah was pitching to Tiffany was that the Jokers and the Queens make a pact to go after a king next week, but they'll agree to use their other. So let's say Azah wins. She's on the Jokers. Yeah. She's going to make a pact with the Queens that she's going to put a king up and a queen as a pawn.
Right.
And then if someone from the Queens win, they'll put a king up with a Joker as a pawn.
Yes.
But that leaves them enough people on their two teams to vote out the kings left standing.
Right.
It didn't get far. I think she pitched it to Tiffany and maybe it was Claire. It was one other person on the Queens. Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to actually happen. Tiffany, again, doesn't really care what comes out of Azah's mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to work.
But it's exciting to see potentially Azah kind of coming alive here. And there is also, you mentioned that maybe Azah could win HOH. Like there's also been some talk about girls need to win an HOH or a POV at some point. Every competition, every HOH and POV has been won by a man so far. The women have won some wild card comps, but they've got to win HOHs and POVs. And they mentioned Azah as someone specifically who might be able to. There's also been a lot of talk about is this week going to be an endurance competition? And we know that it is. And so maybe a woman could win that, So.
Yeah. I wonder if Azah would be I feel good about Alyssa. But would Azah also be maybe good at an endurance?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a great point. There have been several new groupings. I mean, every week we have new groupings. It's so much. But Christian and Alyssa are doing a decent job of trying to make some groups happen. One of which is Hannah and Alyssa. They also did one with Tiffany and Claire.
Yeah.
This one is not super serious. I mean, Christian and Alyssa are just kind of using Hannah and DX as shields. Hannah and DX don't really trust Christian and Alyssa.
Yeah.
But they've all sort of agreed to talk a little bit. So that is happening right now. I don't see it lasting because a lot of these don't seem to last.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness.
Things change very quickly.
Tiffany, now we've talked a lot about Tiffany. She runs this house.
Yeah.
She's got the cookout, which is obviously very strong, but she's got her connection with Claire. She's got a final two with Kylan, but she's been pretty upset with Kylan being connected with other people like Sarah Beth. That bothers Tiffany. She did some cam talking today, and I always trust cam talking over what they say to other, because they'll lie to other house guests. And then I see people on Twitter being like, she said this. And I'm like, but she said it to someone she doesn't trust.
Yeah. Unless she says it to us.
Yeah.
Don't believe it.
Right. So I'm inclined to believe this. And it was fairly shocking information.
Yeah.
She said her eviction order right now is SB this week, next Claire, I guess as soon as Claire's available, then Christian, then DX, then Alyssa, then Brittany. That's her eviction order, you guys. And then she said her final 3, she's saying final 6 is a cookout. Her final 3 would be her with Hannah as her final 2, but the final 3 would be with X.
Look at that.
Okay. Explain to me why Claire is going before Christian and Alyssa.
That is a good question. I guess, like, yeah. She has
even
started
Brittany.
to, yeah. Well, Brittany, I think she's just not looking at as a threat anymore.
Right.
And she's probably like, I could use her as a number because she's got no one. So I could start talking to her and pull her over and she'll do whatever I say because what other choice does she have, really? So she probably views Brittany as someone she can kind of pull along and use for as long as she wants to get these bigger targets out, frankly, and then cut her. I see your point about like why Claire before Christian and Alyssa, but yeah, she does seem to be like really thinking about Claire, which is interesting because she's been working with Claire a lot.
So
she's
close.
In a few alliances with her, you know?
And if you just look at her behavior and how she talks to people, she says way more game stuff to Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Like the two of them have similar brains. They can sit down, they can just like strategize and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
It's totally different than the way she talks to everyone else.
Yeah.
Even Kyland, who she's close to, you know, they'll talk a little bit, but they don't really deep dive into strategy. So the fact that she's willing to cut someone who is actually, I think, beneficial to the way her brain works.
Yeah, really good sounding board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that that's bad for Tiffany's game.
Do you think that she thinks their games are too similar? And so she's like threatened by that?
I think she's worried that Claire will figure out Tiffany's game.
She might, actually.
And that because she knows how smart Claire is.
Yeah.
And leaving her in the game is longer gets Tiffany in more danger of being found out.
Right.
Which is probably true. Mm-hmm. So let me jump to what Claire Cam talked, because this was very fun as well.
Yeah.
Claire brought up, should I play a Steve game? And I was like, girl, if Tiffany is your Vanessa and you're talking about playing a Steve game, yeah, that is what you should do.
That is what you should do.
She talked about how she doesn't have as many visible social bonds as Tiffany. Tiffany is in with everybody.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I'm willing to make the big moves. So I was like, girl, yes, I love what you're saying.
Yeah. And I mean, Claire so far, I think, is positioned to be playing a Steve game. She's not creating big waves. She's not on really anybody's radar except Tiffany's.
Everyone's best friend. Yeah.
Right. She's kind of nerdy, you know, like they have a similar sort of like personality type or archetype, you know, for this show. It's great to hear her say something like that, you know, but she's going to have to be smart about the way that Tiffany's looking at her.
Yeah, she needs to keep her eyes open, which she is. She's very observant. Mm-hmm. So I feel good about that. Is she in with everybody? No. Tiffany has the upper hand on that. Yeah. Kind of like the Sarah. I mean, she's in a better position than Sarah Beth, but like to that same thing, like you got to have connections outside of the one person you think you have. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see if she can pull it off.
Yeah.
If she can get the heads up and figure out.
For anybody who's not in the cookout at this point, you got to figure out a way to win HOH and break up the cookout, frankly, because like, as much as we were talking at the beginning of this season about, the slaughterhouse, like, we don't want the slaughterhouse to last because this is how BB23 started and yikes. But like, we were so thrilled that the slaughterhouse broke up and dissolved. It didn't last. But the royal flush and the cookout were right behind it. And that's kind of been why every week is more or less predictable in terms of who's going home and why we kind of have these house targets week after week, because those two alliances combined are running things right now. So you need, I mean, Claire's in the royal flush. So, you know, she's in like a tricky spot alliance wise potentially. But if someone like Sarah Beth or Brittany was able to like win HOH, granted Sarah Beth is in the royal flush too, but she's clearly on the outs. So if she or Brittany were able to win HOH, like that shakes things up and makes things interesting. So.
Yeah. Even Derek. Okay. So Derek F, he's an enigma. What is happening in his head? Right. So he today was saying that he wanted to nominate Hannah. And is it Sarah? Oh, shoot. Now I forget. I think it's still Sarah Beth as like the target, but next to Hannah. He's really mad at Hannah. Hannah said something about him. She did like spill some dirt. So he's mad at Hannah, and like he's willing to put her up even though she's in the cookout. And like Axel's like, dude, you cannot put Hannah up on the block.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm gonna. Like I would. And I kind of love again that that's like crazy and outside the box, and I will take it because I need the mess.
Yeah.
But Derek just talks and he's not willing to actually win anything. So
right.
It's a little Enzo vibes of like, you're all talk. You're not going to do anything.
I also I don't think we've seen much from Derek F in terms of like the ability to beat people at comps, you know, like he does not strike me as any kind of comp beast whatsoever. So unless it's, you know, I don't know. We just haven't seen anything from him in that way. So
no, there was an interesting conversation between Hannah and Claire about Derek F being a goat, being the one you drag. Like Hannah said, Derek F is the guy you drag to the end because he can't beat you in any comps and he's not going to win. And Claire was like, do you watch Survivor? She's like, no. She's like, so there's this concept of goats. And she like starts to explain like the person who you could easily beat, you drag to the end.
Yeah.
But from Claire's perspective, she was like, if everyone wants to bring Derek F as the GOAT, he's a threat to my game and I need to get him out.
Yeah.
Whereas Hannah was like, no, I'm going to take him along. So I love to see the conversations, thinking it through.
Yep. That's why I'm still enjoying this season, despite the like, you know, vague predictability of the evictions week to week, because people are still really thinking, like you said before, we've got so many gamers this season. Even some of the recruits are picking up so quickly and like adding to the nuance of the conversations. So it's really fun to watch this cast.
Yeah, it's so true. Like you want to say it's boring because we're like, here we are. We're not talking about who's being evicted. We just know.
Yeah.
But there's still so much.
There's so much plotting.
Strategy.
They're talking about like the numbers of women versus men that are going to be on the jury already. Like these people are thinking end game and we haven't even started the jury. Like it's really fun to like see them work through these things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So again, so sorry you guys that I had to miss yesterday, but I'm so glad that we got to make it up today. For those of you following, my puppy is doing okay. She's going to recover and she's going to be just fine. So thank you for hanging in with me there. And you guys for joining us live. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, we love the support in the chat. And for those of you watching us later, we love it when you leave us comments. Thank you for all the birthday love last week in the comments section. I appreciate all of that. And let us know what you're thinking about this week. And, you know, obviously, I don't think there's much to comment on in terms of like who's going home. But,
I mean, do you want Whitney to stay?
Yeah.
Do you want her to go?
Would you rather see Hannah go? Let us know what you think there, and just about these future plans. What does Sarah Beth have to do to save herself this coming week?
What does who really needs to work together here? Who needs to win HOH? I want it all. All that stuff. All right, you guys. What's tomorrow? Wednesday? Oh my gosh. Chantel is joining me tomorrow for the Wednesday recap, and then Thursday, David's back.
I'll be back.
And then Friday, we'll talk about the new HOH and all that fun stuff.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.